Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our lesson on the losing trick count. Now, you may have heard me in other lessons discuss losers in a hand and how losers are a way to evaluate a hand's worth. Now, the losing trick count is another step from there in addition to counting losers in your own hand. Now, if I was to give you two example hands here, let's pop them up on the board. And let's give you two different hands here and try to use the same honor cards and get you to evaluate the two hands separately. This is hand number A. We'll draw a line, pardon me. We'll draw a line across there and we'll pop in hand number B. So we'll have Jack to 5 hearts. And then what have we got? We've used one ace, we've used one king, we've used no queens as yet. So we'll pop in a queen here. And then what have we got? We've used another king. So we've got one more king. Okay. Now, for those who are unfamiliar when it comes to counting losers, the whole idea behind counting losers is to consider the first or the top 3 cards in each suit. Now, the reason we consider the top 3 cards in each suit, which is the ace, king, and queen, are because if you've got a card after the 3rd card, that is the 4th round of the suit or even the 5th round of the suit, it's likely by that stage that the 4th and 5th round, etc., will be winners. So we're going to focus on the top 3 cards in each suit, and we're going to count or try to nominate which one of the ace, king, and queen is missing in those top 3 cards. And then we're going to count those missing cards as losers. So on the top hand here, we've got how many missing cards in ace, small, small here. We've got 2 missing cards. We're missing the king and the queen. So that holding has 2 losers. Yep, I'll pop in two there beside that. In the heart suit, we've got the king and the queen, but we're missing the jack. So the heart suit has 1 loser. In the diamond suit down here, now remember, just going back to the heart suit, because you've got a 5-card suit here, the 4th and the 5th card are considered to be winning cards. And let's have a look at down here at the diamond suit. You've got king, small, small. You're missing both the ace and the queen, so you've got 2 losers there. And in clubs, you've only got 2 cards. Therefore, you can only consider the ace and the king. So you've got 2 losers there. So this hand in total has 7 losers. Now, we've got exactly the same hand shape down here below. 3 spades, 5 hearts, 2 diamonds, and 3 clubs. But what I've done is I've given you the same honor card, but I've simply put them into different positions on the hand. Now, with our normal evaluation methods, that is, high card points, etc., we would treat both of the hands in a similar vein. But let's count losers. Let's see how many losers the hand at the bottom has. Well, here in the spade suit, you've got the ace and the king, but you're missing the queen. So you've got 1 loser in spades. In hearts, the top 3 cards are all missing. If the top 3 cards are all missing, that means you've got 3 losers here in the heart suit. In diamonds, whilst you do have the queen, it's only in a suit with 2 cards. And you don't have either the ace or the king. So that means that, despite having the queen, is worth 2 full losers. And let's go down to the club suit. In the club suit, you've got 3 cards here. You're missing the ace and the queen. You've got the king, so you've got 2 more losers there. So what's that a total of losers? This is an 8-loser hand. So you can tell simply by rearranging where the honor cards are that some hands have a greater value than other hands. And that's what I want you to start thinking about with this lesson, is that high card points aren't everything. A good way to assess how decent a hand is, or the true value of a hand, is through counting losers. Now, a typical minimum opening hand of about 13 to 15 points or 12 to 15 points has around 7 losers. So that's something to store in our mind here, is that a typical minimum opening hand has around 7 losers. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to get used to, in this lesson, counting our losers and then trying to assess how many losers our partner has based on the bidding. So let's rub out those two hands here. The whole example of those two hands, the reason I placed them there on the whiteboard, was to simply give you an idea that the same shape hand with the same number of high card points, and in fact exactly the same honor cards, when they're moved around from long suits into short suits, suddenly the hand has a lesser value. Now, we've been through, or we've gone through counting your losers. So let's double check on the idea of these losers. Grab my highlighting pen here, and let's have a look here. The top example where you've got ace, queen, 9, 8, 4 of spades. As I say, mentally draw a line after 3 cards, and that would be ace, queen, 9. Which one of the ace, king, and queen are missing? The king. So that suit has 1 loser. In hearts here, you have just 2 cards, so you can only consider the top 2 hearts, which are the ace and king. Which one is missing? The ace. Therefore, you also have 1 loser in the heart suit. In the diamonds here, now the jack is not considered to be a card where you can consider them inside your losers. So the jack here, whilst it may have some value in the play, when counting losers, it doesn't hold any value. Here, therefore, in the diamond suit, you've got king, jack, and 3 in your top 3 cards. You're missing the ace and the queen, which means you have, in the diamond suit, 2 losers. And here in the clubs, you have queen and 6, missing the ace and the king, which means you also hold 2 losing clubs. So this hand here of 15 high card points has 6 losers. Whilst you can count your own losers, part of the idea behind this lesson is to put the losers in your hand, added to the losers in your partner's hand, and then we pop it into a simple equation or a quick equation where it will normally tell us roughly how many tricks we'll take. Now remember, the losing trick count formula only works when you and your partner are known to hold a trump fit. So, whilst you may count your losers when you open the bidding, you don't know at this stage whether you have a trump fit or not. Now, let's switch the side of the table, because you can't see partner's hand. You have to be able to try to estimate how many losers our partner has. So, for example, if your partner has 6 to 9 points, then typically they will have 9 losers in their hand. So, for example, if you open the bidding with 1 heart and your partner responds 2 hearts, that typically is 6 to 9 points, and it's likely to be 9 losers. If, for example, you play invitational raises or limit raises, and the auction goes 1 heart from you, 3 hearts from partner, if you're thinking in terms of points, it's normally 10 to 12, but if you're thinking in terms of losers, you would expect partner to hold around 8 losers. Now, obviously what happens here is the more points you have, as you go up each 3 points, you typically reduce your number of losers by 1. Okay? So the whole idea behind this lesson is to give you an alternate way to assess hands when you have a trump fit, rather than always relying on high card points and shortage points only. So let's have a look at that in action. We're now going to speak about how the losing trick formula actually works. I'm going to give you an example here, and you may see this number up the top of the screen here of 24. And I'm going to explain to you how we get to that 24 number. So imagine the worst two hands at the table where you have a trump fit. So if one partnership partner holds 4 small cards in spades, 3 small cards in hearts, 3 small diamonds, 3 small clubs. And opposite that, their partner holds also a spade fit, 4 small cards in spades, 3 small hearts, 3 small diamonds, and 3 small clubs. So what we need to do here is count the maximum number of losers that are possible on any given hand. And the maximum number of losers on any given hand would be the 2 worst hands together. So let's count them up. Here, you've got 3 losers in the spade suit, the top 3 cards, because you're missing the ace, king, queen. But the 4th card here would be a winner. Here in hearts, you've got 3 losers, diamonds 3 losers, clubs 3 losers. So that's 3 losers in each suit, which means a total of 12 losers on that hand. Let's go down to partner's hand, and partner has exactly the same hand. Whilst they do have a fit for you, and when they do have a fit for you, that's when we can apply the losing trick formula. So on this particular hand, again, they've got 3 losers in each one of the suits, but the 4th card in hearts would deem to be a winner. So that means that both hands, the 2 worst hands together, 12 plus 12, would equal a total possible number of losers of 24. Now, the reason that's important is that in this formula, you must look at the maximum number of losers and subtract the number of losers you have and you believe partner has in the option and take it away from 24. That will teach you or suggest to you how many tricks you're likely to take. So let's rub this hand out and let's go to some of those example hands. Now, people tend to say when they look at the losing trick lesson, they tend to say, well, that's a lot of adding up at the table. But again, one of the ideas behind giving this series of lessons whilst we're waiting here, one of the ideas behind giving this series of lessons is to try and change your thinking a bit. Change your thinking away from, in some respects, a bit of a lazy style of looking at high card points and shortage points all the time. So we've got these 2 hands here. We're going to make you the opener here, and we're going to count the number of losers you've got. In spades, you're missing the top 2. Sorry, you've got the ace, but you're missing the king and the queen. So we've got 2 losers. In hearts, 2 cards, no ace, king, therefore 2 losers. In diamonds, we have the king and the queen, but we're missing the ace, which means the diamond suit still has a loser. And in the club suit, you've got king, 9, 8, missing the ace, queen. Therefore, in the top 3 cards here, you've got 2 losers. So that's a total of 7 losers. So let's go through a possible auction. This hand opens 1 club, and then in response, this hand bids 1 spade. Now, have you noticed that this hand hasn't counted losers at any stage because as yet, neither player knows whether they have a trump fit. 1 club pass, 1 spade. Now, when the bidding comes back to the opener realizes, okay, I have a trump fit with my partner, therefore, I can reevaluate my cards, not by counting shortage points and high card points, but actually by viewing the hand in terms of losers. So when you have 7 losers, you would always treat your hand as a minimum opening bid. So that is, you would raise one spade simply to two spades. If you had one less loser here, that is, you held six losers, then this hand on this particular hand, let's say the extra card was the King of Hearts. You now hold only one loser in hearts, and your total number of losers would be six, which means your hand would be good enough to raise one spade up to three spades. Okay, let's view it from the prism of partner. So partner's sitting here with this hand as responder. The opener has raised one spade to two spades, promising essentially a minimum opening hand or typically 7 losers. And that's how you try to remember how many losers going up and down in points. You commit to memory that minimum opening hands typically have 7 losers. So as you go up 3 points, you would go down 1 loser. As you go down 3 points, you would go up 1 loser. So minimum opening hand, 1 spade, raises to 2 spades, 7 losers. How many losers do you actually hold, responder? Well, here in the spade suit, we've got the top 3 cards, which are King, 9, 8. And that means we're missing the Ace, Queen, which means we have 2 losers. In hearts, you've got 2 cards, missing the Ace and the King, therefore you have 2 losers. In diamonds, Ace, 7, 6, which is we're missing the King and the Queen, which means we have 2 losers there. And in clubs, you've got a singleton and it's not the Ace, therefore you hold a loser. So you have 7 losers. We're expecting partner on the option to have 7 losers. And if we add those together, 7 plus 7, it is 14. We take it away from 24, which is the maximum number of losers that would be possible on any given hand. And that should suggest to us how many tricks we're likely to take. On this particular hand, therefore, 24 minus 14 would be 10. That's why we jump to 4 spades. Helen's suggesting, would you ever open an 8 loser hand? Yes, I would. I would open an 8 loser hand if I had 12 high card points. Whenever I've got 12 high card points, I open the bidding. Now, are there times when I will raise partner with 8 losers? Of course there is. And if it means that we're out by 1, we're out by 1. But most of these things are about judgment. Therefore, what I'm trying to do in a lesson such as this is I'm getting you to judge hands slightly differently. Judge them through the prism of losers rather than always the prism of high card points. If you think back to the start of the lesson when I gave you those 2 example hands, they were exactly the same pattern, exactly the same high card points, exactly the same honors. But when we simply change position with the honors, we realized that one hand had an extra loser compared to the other hand. So high card points and shortage points aren't always going to give you the answer. And yes, if you've got an 8 loser hand, I think you should open the bidding anyhow, as long as you've got the minimum of 12 high card points. So let's keep going. Let's have a look at example number 3 here. And let's look at the opener hand. So we look at our hand, we don't count our losers at this stage because we don't hold a trump fit. So we open what we would normally open, and that would be 1 heart. Our partner responds 1 spade, and suddenly we've got a trump fit. So once we've got a trump fit, you instantly kick over to assessing your hand in terms of losers. Well, how many losers do you have on this hand? 1 in spades, 1 in hearts, 1 in diamonds, 2 in clubs. We'll go through that. 1 in spades, we have the King, Queen, and 7. We're missing the Ace. 1 in hearts because we have the Ace, King, and 8, but we're missing the Queen. 1 in diamonds because we've got a singleton and it's not the Ace. And here in clubs, you've got 3 cards, but you're missing both the king and the queen, therefore you have 2 losers. Now, despite this hand only holding 16 high card points, now admittedly you could add 3 for the singleton, this hand is worthy with only 5 losers. And expecting partners even opposite a minimum opening hand, and a minimum opening hand of 6 points or 6 to 9 is typically how many losers? Well, 6 to 9 is 9 losers. So your 5 losers and partner's potential 9 losers mean that they're added together, it looks like you can afford to bid 4 spades because you can make it. So we'll go through that equation again. When partner bids 1 spade, they may have just 6 high card points. If it's just 6 high card points, they likely have 9 losers. 5 losers plus 9 losers is 14. Take that away from the magical 24, and that's 10. So our hand is worthy of a jump to 4 spades. Now, I've got a few questions here. Can you count winners instead of losers? Winners are slightly different, and I tell you why they're slightly different, Michael. Because winners can include combinations with jacks, where you're able to assess whether a suit can be finessed or not. No, with using this method, it's best to stick simply to losers. This lesson is videoed, and it's a good idea to go over this a number of times. So, Kerry's also asked, how can you work out partners losers if the place of the high card points makes a difference? How would you know? Exactly what I said at the start of the lesson. That's a really good question, Kerry. But what I said at the start of the lesson is we can only guess how many losers our partner has. But we're not losing anything by comparing or simply relying only on high card points. High card points often lead us not very far at all. And partner can then reassess their hand based on the number of losers they actually hold. Joe's also mentioned here, isn't a jump of 4 spades from 1 spade, isn't that a weak hand? No, you're confusing Joe when partner opens 1 spade and you respond 4 spades. That's known as the weak freak raise. Here, because you've already opened the bidding, then the 4 spade bid is simply a value of your hand. So if we were to go through that, and let me just show you the options, and if you were to assess this based on losers only, if an auction went 1 heart, 1 spade, if opener bid 2 spades, if they bid 3 spades, and if they bid 4 spades, then you could assess it all these different ways. You could say a 2 spade bid would be any hand with 7 losers. Yep, so that's a losers. A 3 spade bid would be any hand with 6 losers. And a 4 spade bid would be any hand with 5 losers. So that's a different way to assess it rather than high card points. Some people might say high card points and shortage points. 2 spades would be somewhere between 12 and 15. 3 spades somewhere between 16 to 18. And 4 spades somewhere around 19 or 20 points. Now, you could still use the high card point and shortage point method. But what I tried to show you back at the start of the lesson is it's often about the position of those high cards that make the difference. And my theory is that losers or the losing trick count is a more accurate assessment than simply high card points and shortage points. So let's rub that out and let's move on to the rest of the auction in the example that we've got here. So we assessed because we had 5 losers that our hand was worthy of raising partners 1 spade to 4 spades. Now, let's look at the position from the other side of the table. The responder here now knows that your side has a trump fit. So the responder can also assess their losers. Now, how many losers does the responder hold? Well, you're missing the king, queen of spades, so 2 there. You're missing the ace, king of hearts, so 2 there. You're missing the king, queen of diamonds, 2 there. And you're missing the ace of clubs. You've got the king, so 1 there. So this hand has 7 losers. you expect partner to hold 5. Why? Because they've jumped from 1 spade all of the way to 4 spades. So again, a 2 spade bid from the opener would have shown 2 spade would have shown 7 losers. A 3 spade bid would have shown 6 losers, and a 4 spade bid promises 5 losers. Tony just asked me a question here. Would you splinter with the opener's hand? Now, if you're not familiar with splinters, you may have read in one of our newsletters recently where we speak about raising partner to gain, and not only showing partner that we have 4-card support, but also positioning to partner where our singleton is. And on this hand, you have a singleton in diamonds, so it's possible to make what we call a splinter raise in diamonds. Now, for me, whilst this hand is a good hand, I think that it's probably just a little bit short of making a splinter bid. Now, I tend to think that I need a few more honors in my hand to be able to assess this hand good enough to splinter to 4 diamonds or show a singleton diamond. So that's one way of looking at it. I'd rather go over splinters in a different lesson, but here let's just simply talk about losers and assessing our hand based on losers. Well, if partner's promising 5 losers and we've got 7, that's a total number of losers of 12. Subtract that from 24, which is the maximum number of losers for 2 hands together. 24 minus 12 is 12. So the expectation is to take 12 tricks. Some of you, just to digress a little, some of you may have come across the losing trick count formula before and heard that you can subtract it from 18. Now, what that is it means that if you subtract it from 18, not 24, it simply tells you what level to bid. So let's try that. 5 plus 7 is 12. Subtract from 18, and it means that 18 minus 12 is 6. So it's saying that 6 spades is potential. I'd rather just keep it to the 24 because by teaching people 24, I can show them where the maximum number of losers come from. So what's there to check on? Well, we've decided that we're capable of making slam on this hand. So how about we check on aces? We bid 4 no trump, and partner also plays Roman keycard Blackwood. So they show us 1, 2, 3 key cards. That is 5 clubs, 0 or 3. And then on this hand, you look at your hand and you go, okay, well, we've got 2 key cards here. So that's 5 key cards. 1, 2, 3. And you ask for the trump queen. Partner shows you the trump queen. And you decide that you're going to settle for 6 rather than 7 because the losing trick count formula didn't suggest that there was 13 tricks in it. Have a look at the 2 hands together. Could you make 13 tricks? On a good day, perhaps you could. But slam looks like a good contract, everyone, doesn't it? And if we were to simply count this in high card points, you've got 16 here and you've got 11 here. So a total of 27 high card points only. Admittedly, you could count the singleton here, so that's 1 there, so it's up to 30, and 2 doubletons here, 32. It's a much better idea to get into the habit of, when you're bidding slams or you're trying to accurately bid games, to start thinking more and more about the position of where partners' cards are rather than the total number of high card points. Marcel's asked a question about that, why did I play 5 clubs as 0 or 3 rather than 1 or 4? I know a number of people play 14-30, so they switch that around. They play 5 clubs as 1 or 4 and 5 diamonds as 0 or 3. One of the reasons behind that, or the main reason behind that, is because when hearts are trumps, if an option goes as follows, and I'll show it to you. Let's say it goes 1 heart, 3 hearts, limit raise, let's say 4-no trump, checking on its Roman key card Blackwood. The most likely response for the player when answering Roman key card Blackwood is to hold one key card. So if the plan is that 5 clubs is 0 or 3 and 5 diamonds is 1 or 4, if they bid 5 diamonds promising 1, then 5 hearts here no longer is available to ask for the Queen of Trumps, because 5 hearts being the trump suit would be, of course, a sign-off. So what 1430 does is it switches the 5 club and the 5 diamond bid, and then it allows you to bid 5 clubs with 1, which is the most common response. And that means that this hand can now bid 5 diamonds, asking partner, do you have the Queen of Hearts? Yep. So that's the reason that people play 1430. If you were tuning in yesterday though, and at the very start of the lesson, I showed you a hand where Ron and I did use 4-no trump, did use Blackwood when hearts were trumps. But what Ron and I do is that we no longer play 4-no trump as Blackwood, we play 4 spades as Blackwood, because 4 spades wouldn't be useful for anything else. And that takes us down one level. So it takes us down an entire level, which means that we can do all of this with greater space. And means also we don't lose out when a minor suit is trumps. People who play 1430, they run a risk when there is a minor suit that is the trump suit. So just bear that in mind, and I'm very happy to talk to people about that more and more as we go along. So on the hand in question, we got to 6 spades by simply using a losing trick formula. Okay, so I've got some hands prepared already on BBO, everyone. So let's open up BBO. Bear with me while we do this. It's not a bad thing for you to, let's share the screen for you though. You share, we'll share our BBO screen here. You can watch me go through this. So everyone, I'm now just logging into BBO. And I'm going to go to practice. And I'm going to go to start a teaching table. And then I'm going to put in my name in all of the spaces. And you can also do this if you want to with friends, if you want to get some hands together. It's a very good teaching tool. It allows me to get all of the hands set up for when we're giving a lesson and have them ready for you to bid and play as soon as we start. So now we're going to start a table and we're going to organize our hands. There we are, count. We'll go to the hands that we've got set up. The archive for us. We're going to select the hand here, and I've got our hands ready for losing trick count. And now I'm going to reserve our spaces. I'm going to sit. We're all sitting down. And here we're going to now go to our deal source. We're going to use our save deals, losing trick count. We're going to select those. And now we're going to redeal. Okay, everyone, here's the hands I've had set up for our lesson today. And let's go through the option. Dealer is north. So North is going to start off with only 10 high card points with a pass. East passes, of course. I don't think I wouldn't be keen on opening 3 clubs on that hand, especially with a 4-card spade suit on the side. I might actually get in partner's road, so I'm going to pass. Now on the south hand, we've got an easy 1 spade opening bid. So in terms of the losing trick count, nothing's changed. We're simply doing things as we normally would. Now, what happens here is that West passes, and partner would again simply do what they would normally do. And that is, they've got 10 points and a 5-card heart suit. They would therefore respond 2 hearts. East passes, and it's back to me. Now, I can actually consider my hand in terms of the losing trick count. How many losers do I have? Well, I've got 1 here in spades. I've got 1 here in hearts, 1 in clubs, and 1 in diamonds. That's a total of how many? 4 losers. My partner has responded 2 hearts. What do we expect from the 2-heart bid? 10 or more points. In fact, they've probably got 10 or 11 because they didn't open the bidding. And if they have 10 or 11 or 10 to 12 points in relation to how many losers you expect them to hold, well, remember, the yardstick is 7 for a minimum opening bid. So we think a minimum opening bid is about 13 to 15. We've got 3 points less than that, so which means we've got 1 more loser for the 10 or 11 point hand, 10 to 12 point hand of 2 hearts. So again, 13 to 15 is 7 losers. You can look at that in your notes. And 16 to 18, 6 losers. 19 to 21, 5 losers. But let's go down from 13 to 15. 10 to 12 would be 8 losers. If 13 to 15 is 7 losers, 10 to 12 is 8 losers. So we expect partner to have about 8 losers for their 2-heart bid. Well, 4 losers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus partner's 8 is 12. Take that away from 24, that equals 12 tricks. So I think I'm going to just check to see we're not missing 2 aces or too many aces and bid 4 no trump. West passes and partner says, well, they've got 2 aces. But if you're playing Roman keycard Blackwood, you don't have the Queen of Trumps, which means that your response would be 5 hearts. Yep. East passes. Now, partner's got 2 key cards. I've got 3. So we've got all 5 key cards and the Queen of Trumps. But it might be a difficult hand to expect to be able to take 13 tricks on. The losing trick count formula told us would probably take only 12 tricks. So I'm not going to have a go at 7 here. I'm going to simply bid 6 hearts and the auction finishes there. Okay, so let's try this hand and then we'll go back to the other hand. Okay, the dealer on this particular hand is North, and North simply starts with 1 diamond. East passes, South bids 1 spade. And I wouldn't overcall 2 hearts on that West hand. I simply don't think it's good enough. I don't want to get involved when I've got 2 bidding opponents here. So I'm actually going to pass on the West hand. Now, North, well, you've got a trump fit. Let's assess how high you should raise that spade suit. How many losers do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. Okay, so you've got a completely minimum hand. Therefore, you're only worthy of a raise to 2 spades. East passes. Now, partner's got a minimum hand here, everyone. So the minimum hand tends to be around 13 to 15 points or 7 losers. How many losers do you have here on the South cards? 2 in spades, 1 in hearts, 2 in clubs, 2 in diamonds. That's a total of 7. Partner's promised you 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. Take that away from 24 and you've got 10 tricks. So let's close proceedings with 4 spades. That finishes the auction. Now, who's declarer? Declarer South, that's good. So how about we try and start off leading from the West hand this time. Got that right. So now we lead the 10 of clubs. Okay, what's our plan here, everyone? Our plan this looks pretty easy, this hand. It looks like if trumps break 2-1, then we can easily just trump 2 losing clubs in dummy with the excess trumps that we have over here. And then we'll give up a heart trick, and we'll maybe even give up a diamond trick, but we'll see. At this point in time, though, that's our plan now. But what happens if trumps are 3 in one hand and 0 in the other? Can we cater for that? Well, we can, provided that the top honor we take out of the ace and king is the one opposite the 10 ace. So the only 10 ace or finessable position that you have in spades is the ace jack. So you should keep that for the second round of the suit. That being the case, I think what we'll do is we'll win the king of clubs here in dummy. And we'll immediately attack the spades, but we'll do so by making sure that we play the top honor opposite the 10 ace. So we'll play the 2 of spades. East discards, let's say, an encouraging heart for partner. South breathes a sigh of relief because now they know that they can finesse the spade. So that's exactly what South's going to do here. West follows with the 10, and we take the marked finesse with the jack of spades. We take the ace of spades. And then all of the trumps are gone. Okay, now we've got a bit of an issue here because we have 2 losing clubs over here. Yeah, but we're in the unfortunate position of having only 1 trump in dummy to take care of it. So is there another way, or can anyone suggest for me another way where we can actually have a look at disposing an extra trick here in diamonds? So, okay. Let's cross to our hand and take what we call a double finesse in the diamond suit. Yep. So we're going to attack the diamond suit, but we're in dummy at present. Let's say we play a low heart. West wins with the jack. Okay. West continues clubs, because it looks like it could be a problem. West continues clubs. South wins the ace. Now South advances the jack of diamonds. West ducks. Dummy ducks. East wins the queen. East plays the queen of clubs, taking out dummy's last trump. But if you can see the position here now, if we take 1 more diamond finesse, we can discard our losing clubs. Now, is that risky? Well, originally, to take a double finesse means that you have a 75% chance of success. So I think that that's a good enough chance of success for making our contract, or making an overtrick in our contract. So I'm going to leave the 10 of hearts off dummy, and when this hand plays low, I'm in my hand, I'm in the right hand now. This hand plays low, I'm going to finesse the diamond, open my eyes, and it wins. Play the ace of diamonds, and discard. The last club. Okay, and now we can take the last 2 tricks. Here we are, making our contract. Okay, so that's 11 tricks. So let's try the next board. I think I'll take away my mouse, and that'll make it much easier for us to play. Let's redeal. Okay, Now, everyone, South is our dealer on this hand. South has, is this hand good enough to open the bidding? Well, let's count losers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a 7 loser hand with 11 high card points. Good enough to open the bidding. So let's try that. Let's open 1 spade from South. West passes, and you're looking at that North hand. Wow, this is an incredible hand. So partners opened a spade. Let's look at losers on this hand. Even if South, for their 1 spade opening bid, has a minimum hand, they have about 7 losers. How many hands do you have in the North? How many losers do you have in North? Let's count this: 1 in spades, 1 in hearts, 1 in clubs, and 1 in diamonds. That's 4 losers total. Well, your 4 losers with partners 7 losers, yeah, is a total of 11. Taken away from 24, we're talking 13 tricks are possible on this hand, provided that partner can cover the 2 missing aces. So let's not beat around the bush here. Let's just bid for no trump. We do. East passes. South bids 5 hearts, promising 2 key cards without. Gwyn's asking me about a splinter here. Splinter, the point ranges for splinters are specifically 9 to 12. Everyone, 9 to 12 high card points. So this hand is far too good for that. The reason you need to keep a small point range for splinters is because partner doesn't have room to explore if you're splintering up to the 4 level. So that's why we keep the point range around 9 to 12 points. Partner bids 5 hearts, showing the 2 aces. Well, partner's got the ace of spades and the ace of hearts. The losing trick count is telling me, again, let's double check, see that I haven't gotten it wrong. Partner's got 7 losers. We've got, and you're North here, you've got 1 in spades, 1 in hearts, 1 in clubs, 1 in diamonds, 4 losers total. So that's 4 with partners 7 is 11. Take that away from 24, 13 tricks. Let's go the whole hog. Let's just bid 7 spades and see whether, oh, sorry, pardon me. Let's undo that last bid. Don't want our opponents in 7 spades. Pass, pass, pass. Okay, 7 spades from South, and West is on lead. Oh, West, I don't like that hand to have to lead from that. Against a Grand Slam, it's very different to leading against the Grand Slam compared to leading against a small slam. Against small slams, we tend to choose aggressive opening leads in order to be asked partner for, we tend to be aggressive opening leads in order to try to get an honor from partners so that we can set up a trick whilst we still get in with another trick later on. So that's the whole idea of being aggressive against a small slam. But against a Grand Slam, you should tend to be a little bit more passive. On this particular hand, I think I'm not going to lead away from either of my honors in the red suits. I'm simply going to lead a low club. Let's try that. Dummy plays. In fact, before dummy plays, how about we count our tricks? Well, this hand looks pretty good, looks pretty easy. In fact, it looks like we've got 5 trump tricks. Remember, I can't see that trumps are breaking 4-0. I've got the ace of hearts, that's 6. I've got the top 4 clubs, that's 10. And I've got the ace king of diamonds, that's 12. Where is it always an easy spot to gain an extra trick? It's always an easy spot to gain an extra trick from trumping a card in dummy. So how about we arrange that? How about we maybe first of all draw trumps, but we've got to win the trick to start with. Play the ace. Okay, but now we're going to try and draw trumps. King of spades, low, low, and West shows out. Ah, that means there's the jack to 3 in this hand, so I have to be able to finesse. If I draw all of the trumps now, I'm not going to have that extra trump in dummy in order to take care of a heart ruff. So at this point in time, I think I'm going to take that heart ruff. And that'll be my 13th trick. Trump in dummy, and it wins. Now we've got it easy. Now we play the queen of spades. And we play another spade. This hand plays the 9. We take what we call the marked finesse against, take the ace of spades, throwing away a club, diamond here, jack of spades. And now you can see once we play a club here to the king, we play our ace of diamonds and our king of diamonds, and we throw away the pesky heart, and now we've got the queen jack of clubs and a trump, and they're all high. So now we can claim. And the tricks am I claiming? All of them, thank you very much. 22-10. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now, dealer on this hand is north. Dealer on this hand is north, and the north hand is 12 high card points. It's not exciting, but I think that if you're dealt 12 high card points, you should open the bidding. So let's start off with the north hand of opening the bidding with 1 club. East passes and south bids 1 heart. Pass from west. And what do you do on the north hand, everyone? I think we bid 1 no trump, don't we? So let's try that. Let's try 1 no trump on the north hand. Yep. Now, you remember last week we were speaking about check back. So this would be one of those hands where south could use check back. South here bids 2 clubs, check back, and north bids 2 hearts to say they are a minimum hand, and they have 3 card support for the heart suit. Pass from east, back to south. Well, how many losers do you have, south? You've got 14 points, and partners around the minimum point range. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losers. Okay, now, if the hands were switched, could you imagine the auction may go differently? The auction may go differently where south opens the bidding with 1 heart and north shows a limit raise here. Perhaps south wouldn't go on, but because north's opened the bidding, and the reason I gave you this hand is it's not perfect for every auction. It can sometimes depend which way the auction proceeds. But I'm going to do the normal thing here with the south hand and bid 4 hearts. The bidding continues pass, pass, pass. And now we're playing in a 4-heart contract. And west is going to lead the queen of diamonds. Okay, this is not a good contract, everyone. It looks like we've got a diamond loser, 2 spade losers, and a club loser. And that is even if hearts break. So I think what I will do is I'm going to retain the ace of diamonds in case I can get to that extra club. So I'm going to duck the diamond to start off in dummy, win the king in my hand. Suddenly, play a low heart, cross to the queen, and then start to attack the club suit. Because if you play a club here, east could get nervous and fly up with the ace. If this east player is too experienced, they duck it, the king goes in, and it wins the trick. So now, I think I might continue with the club and see if I can rough out the ace of clubs. I'm going to play low here. East wins the 9. Continues diamonds. And you win the ace. Now I'm going to try to hope that the ace of clubs drops. Well, it doesn't. Oh, darn. And now the best I can do from here, everyone, is to play a low heart to the king. Then draw the trumps. And then I've got to try to do something fancy here in spades. So I'll play a low spade. This hand plays 10. No, it doesn't play the 10, pardon me. Let's undo that card. Plays the 5. Dummy plays Jack. West plays the King. Continues with the Ace of Clubs, which you trump. Throwing a diamond here. Then the best thing you can do is play Ace of Spades. And another spade. And unfortunately, West has the last two tricks. So that's one down in our contract. Okay. So let's have a look at the hand and have a look at how many losers there were here. Well, the North hand actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a half losers. Maybe the North hand shouldn't be opened. I tend to think that you should open most hands with 12 points, but on this particular occasion, it would have been wise not to. And if we hadn't, we wouldn't have gotten to a very poor 4-heart contract. Was there another contract we could have played and done better at? Well, it turns out we can actually probably make 3-no trump. We can take 5 hearts, 1 spade, 2 diamonds and a club. So perhaps that might have been an alternate contract from the south side. Let's try one more. No, there we go. Let's go back a hand. See if I can go back to hand number 1. Your source, go back to that hand that we've got. And then redeal. No, go back, sorry. Deal source, pardon me everyone, I'll see if I can get those deals back. The losing trick count deals, select that, and then hopefully we can redeal. Yes, here we are. So this was that hand that we didn't, where we got to a contract of 6 hearts, and North was our declarer, and East was on lead. Well, South had bid spades, remember, so East is probably not going to lead anything aggressive on this hand. They're probably simply going to lead a low diamond. So let's quickly go through the option. Pass from North, pass from East, 1 spade from South, pass, 2 hearts from North, pass, 4-no trump from South, pass, 5 hearts from North, pass, 6 hearts, pass, pass, pass. East is on lead, and East leads the 4 of diamonds. Okay. How do we plan to attack this hand? Well, the thing, to make this hand, we need to make our spades good. So that is going to be the plan. We can take 5 heart tricks and 1 diamond and 1 club and 2 spades. Well, that's 9. So we probably need to find that we have to set up our spades and perhaps procure an extra ruff from somewhere. So let's try hopping the ace of diamonds on this hand. Now, do you know the correct play is on this hand, everyone? The king. That will send a message to partner that you've got the king, queen, or perhaps king, queen, jack for your holding. It's saying to partner, if you get in again, partner, diamonds is the place to go. Okay. So now the aim would be, let's try and draw some trumps on this hand. So let's play a low heart, cross to dummy's ace, and West shows out. They play an encouraging club, or East shows out. Now trumps are 4-0. This could be tricky, which means maybe what we need to do here is start the spades, and because spades may not break for us. We play a low spade to the ace. Now I'm not going to run the risk of playing the king of spades here. I'm going to play a low spade. West follows with the 10, and we trump low. Well, how many spades are left? 2. So if there's 2 left, we can cross back to our hand here with another trump, because we had all the top trumps, remember? And now we play another low spade. What can West do? If they trump with the 6, we'll over trump. Let's say they don't trump at all. Let's say they throw a diamond. You trump with the jack of hearts, because it's something spectacular that you can afford to do. And then you play another trump from dummy. drawing the last two trumps. And then you play the king of spades, and that everyone will scoop up the queen of spades, the last. Now you can see both the nine of spades and the seven of spades are winners. Then you simply play a club to the ace, and you give your opponents the last trick. Okay, so everyone, that's some hands on the losing trick count formula. Do yourself a favor and have a look again at those hands.